Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Tuesday Talkshow with me, your host, Yvonne Gorman from Essential Print Services. We're on that sound. The talk show is supported by my own firm, which is celebrating 10 years in business, which is absolutely amazing. So if you're watching us live or on replay, please send in your comments and questions. We would love to hear from you and give you a shout out. But enough about me. We're going to go straight over to our very special guest. I'm really excited about this morning. And you may say, Yvonne, you say you're excited about every guest, but I am super excited about today's guest, which is the lovely, the gorgeous Danielle Asano from Cherry Professional. Hello, Danielle, you okay?
Hi, yes, thank you. Good, thank you.
Excellent, excellent. So we're going to go straight into the questions, Danielle, if that's all right. So just introduce yourself, tell people who you are, what you do, and what you're up to.
Okay, so I'm Danielle. I'm the Managing Director for Cherry Professional. We are a staffing business, a recruitment company, based in Nottingham and Derby, and we service the East Midlands. And we are relationship-led recruitment, so we place people into roles, and we are a partner to lots of different organisations in this area in terms of helping them grow their teams and, find people from finance and accounting to admin and business professional to HR type roles. So they're the sectors that we look after.
And you've got some pretty impressive stats behind the scenes with number of staff and turnover. Tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, so well, everything's kind of not as impressive as it would have been 12 months ago had we been doing this interview then. So, but we started 12 years ago. So happy birthday, by the way, for your
Thank you very much.
birthday. I think the stat is it like only 20% of companies reach their 10th birthday. So yeah, we made that milestone a couple of years ago, but we started out as 3 people. At the moment, there are 24 people working for Cherry, and we are hiring and recruiting again because we did lose some people over the last year in terms of it's been quite a tough year in our industry, and yeah, a number of people actually have left recruitment and never want to come back to it, I think. So it's been, as is lots of other people, there's been lots of people that have really
Tell us about the vacancies, Danielle. Who are you looking for to join the team?
Yeah, we're looking for recruiters or trainee recruiters or people that would like to come and do a recruitment role. So in terms of the kinds of people, I think you could learn to do recruitment. It's not something. It's something that we've got the training tools to give. It's very comprehensive training, but we're looking for either experienced people or we are looking for people that would want to come and train to learn to be a recruitment consultant. But it's the behaviours that we're really looking for. The attitude, the behaviours, the values. We're a really, that's our values up there behind me, but we're a really values-led company. And I think that's the most important thing. We need people that really have got some get up and go, people that really take accountability, people that really want to own it, but has got that absolute sense of putting the customer at the heart of everything that they do. So our candidates and clients are literally at the heart of everything we do. So they're the kind of ingredients that we're looking for. And if anybody wants to get in touch with me after, if they're interested in this kind of line of work, this kind of career, then yeah, please give me a ring.
Sounds really exciting. Danielle and I met for the first time in January. This show goes live in April. And we met on a peer-to-peer mastermind session. I can definitely vouch for Danielle. It is authentic and definitely all about relationship-led business. It really is that genuine message and value. So Danielle, how on earth did you become a business owner?
Good question. So some of your questions have had me thinking over the last couple of days as well. So I've had time to prepare my thoughts on that. But in terms of, I think there's almost some clues in terms of that maybe I would one day end up being a business owner, albeit I didn't intend to go out and be a recruitment business owner. So quite early on in my life, I was like from a hobbies point of view, I ran like a karate school. And in terms of that, it was kind of from a really young age, it was sort of setting me up to be accountable for things. We used to have to, you know, find our own students. So we would be designing flyers and going and posting them through doors. Then when people would come to the club, we would be taking the money and putting little adverts into the local papers. We was helping.
Karate something that you still do?
I've not done karate since I've got 2 children now. I've got a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old. So it's sort of on hold. And it was something that I was, because literally probably for the previous 20 something years of my life, that has been my life. So, you know, I've competed nationally, I've competed internationally. I ran.
No messing with Danielle, ladies and gentlemen. Good Lord.
The only fighting I do it now these days with my boys. They're always like, "Come on, let's have a fight." But yeah, so when you're kind of doing something like that, it's actually like, with hindsight, you look back and say, you know, in those years, you just learn it. You don't have days off, because if you don't turn up to teach a class, then who is going to? It is like your own kind of little world in a way. And we was helping people to prepare for their gradings, for their black belts. We were teaching children. I'm saying we because I ran it with my brothers and my sisters. So that kind of set me up. And then early doors, I kind of ended up I was attracted to roles that were performance related. So, you know, my first 2 or 3 jobs were jobs that were commission only sales role. You know, I had some really, really difficult jobs early on in my career. And although I'd done a degree, I think my friends and family were like, "What are you doing? Why don't you go and get a job? That's not a proper job," things like that. But again, with hindsight, everything's kind of setting you up for what you're going to do. And then I was in recruitment for 7 years. And then the opportunity came about. It was basically change that led me to, you know, to want to start something with a couple of my colleagues. So the 3 of us all left together to start Cherry Professional. And the real driving factor was change, because that company had sold out. There was lots of different things going on there, and it just felt like it had come to a natural time to say, look, we should try something, we should do something new. And this is what
was your personal situation at the time when you took that leap of faith into running your own business? Did you have kids then? Did you have a mortgage?
No, I didn't have a mortgage. Didn't have children. So that did make it easier. I'm sure it'd be even more scary. And yeah, it wasn't like, you know, some people have this absolute burning ambition for a long, long time. I think it was just the time was just to try it, and the personal circumstances. I was very much in the mindset, and that was one of the pieces of advice that you'd asked on these questions. I was very much of the mindset that I needed to prepare myself for at least 6 months. 6 months of not earning a penny. So it was all about sort of getting savings in order to afford just to live off of not earning any money, which is probably the biggest commitment of all when you first start a business. Now, we resigned on the 1st of September 2008. And anybody that was in business then will probably recall that 2 weeks later was when the financial crash just hit. And it just turned into an absolute nightmare everywhere, didn't it? It was a disaster. But we'd already kind of resigned, and we'd already, you know, started the ball rolling in terms of setting up a business. So that first year was probably similar to what lots of people have seen in this last year, you know, with the pandemic. Different reasons, but very, very sort of a lot of similarities there. So
absolutely. And you're talking about the past year. What a year it has been for businesses. So thinking about the last year, Danielle, what is your COVID keeper? What sort of things have you changed over the past year that you're going to continue doing?
Yeah, this was a good question. My COVID keeper, probably the answers that I've come along with, they're more kind of personal things. So we bought a tandem bike.
Oh, wow.
over the lockdown. So my son at the time was like 4 years old, bit dangerous going out on a bike ride, and my youngest is little enough to still put in one of the, you know, the baby seats that you can have on the back of your bike. But this tandem joins onto the back of the main bike, and we kind of went here, there, and everywhere, all locally, because you could actually get out and about. So on evenings and on weekends, that was our kind of hobby, to get out of the house. Basically, we'd go on these bikes and And we've used that ever since. It's really safe. They can't just, cycle off anywhere on their own, and we'll absolutely carry on doing that. And definitely in terms of, we've done loads and loads and loads of local parks and nature reserves and just things like that, that we was always out and about, but we just never kind of taken in how much we've got sort of locally. So they're two of my personal COVID keepers. And then the work from home thing was something that I just didn't used to do, even though I was advised quite a bit. It's the best time to kind of do deep dive work and to be, I just kind of always would come to the office. And that was more of a, well, it's all totally a necessity, everybody knows that. But that is something that, I'll definitely keep a version of, that quieter time. Or actually it hasn't been that quiet, because lots of my days spent on the phone and on Teams and stuff, but there is that ability to be quiet and turn things off and actually do your deep dive work, so I'll keep that.
Definitely. And within a smallish medium-sized business, it's when you're working from home, yes, you've got your face on the screen talking to colleagues a lot of the time, but you've also got the ability to go and hide and just be yourself and just have some time to yourself without being disturbed. Very similar to you. If pre-COVID, I was very much, you've got to be in the office, you've got to work from the office. But now it's like, wow, it's completely changed my point of view about workflow and productivity. So that is definitely one of my COVID keepers.
What's been interesting for me, Yvonne, as well, is I think that I probably didn't realise how many, because of the sensitivity of COVID, there was just so many more conversations that were confidential, because we're open plan here. I don't have an office that's just my office, and we all just kind of work, we're all in it together, and away we go. And I've never ever noticed or ever needed an office. But during the COVID times, obviously there's been so many different sorts of conversations and lots of different, right, where are we at with the data, where are we at with the information, where are we at with the budget, where are we at with the forecast, and lots of those conversations. You'd need to kind of get your head, have confidential conversation, understand what the numbers mean, understand what the next step's going to be, and lots of that. So actually, you now realise why an office can be quite useful, and you need that private time and to be able to do that, ready to then kind of make those decisions and move forwards with the message to the rest of the team, therefore.
And like most things in life and in business, it's all about balance, isn't it? It's having that nice balance of office, working from home life, and it's making sure that it's working for you. Before we go on to the next question, just a reminder for everyone listening in live, this is definitely a live broadcast. It's unscripted, unedited. So what you see is what you get. Anything can happen. But please do send in your comments and questions, whether you're watching this. Tell us where you are in the world. That'd be a really good one to hear. To let us know where you are, who you're with, whether you're listening to us whilst you're on the treadmill. Let us know whether you're multitasking, listening in, or watching live. Send us a question and comment. We'd love to give you a shout out. Danielle, what is the hardest thing about running your own company?
Oh, that's a good question. So for me personally, and I think this is probably different for different people, but it's basically my nature. I'm a perfectionist, and I'm a bit of a worrier, or can be a lot of a worrier, and I've got like a real huge sense of like duty. And I think that therefore, I know people say you can't care too much, but think when you're very conscientious about things, it's like every decision that's made, and it impacts a lot of people, it impacts everybody within the organization. So I've always been really, really careful before making a decision, especially when it's a bigger decision that's going to affect people, to understand how this is going to impact different people, to see what the repercussions are, to really kind of have that sense of empathy across the board. And I feel like that can be one of the hardest things for you, because you just kind of have a lot of sleepless nights, or you can haul yourself over the coals in trying to get to that, because sometimes you feel like you get to the right decision, but you can't just jump in there, and sometimes the right decision isn't always the easiest one. So when you're trying to please, you're not just please people, but do the right thing. It's about doing the right thing. So I think that for me has been one of the hardest things, because obviously when you are leading a company, that responsibility is on your shoulders. So with that responsibility, you have to use it wisely, don't you, and fairly, and so on and so forth.
It's a real tricky one, Danielle, and you're absolutely right. It's trying to find a win-win-win situation for the employee, the business, and for yourself, and that is so difficult. But if you can get it, it feels right and it works. But sometimes you've got to drop one of those wins, and not everyone's going to be happy about it. It's a really, really tricky one.
I think particularly in the last year as well, because people have had to speculate, we've had to make decisions based on the unknown, and then it's the unknown again, and then you've gone into another round of unknown. So as well as being a perfectionist, recruitment, recruiter, I'm a recruiter by heart, and that is you are a control freak to be able to do that job and to do that well. We need to know what are the elements, what are the moving parts, and we've got our hands around that all the way. And the last year just hasn't been that. I've had to kind of submit to that feeling of being in control. But as leaders of organisations, you have to be in control. You're leading the organisation, you're making decisions. So it's probably that's made it so it's not necessarily the twists and turns of running the business, it's just my nature, and I think that feeds into making it harder or more challenging or whatever else for me personally, just because wanting to try and get things right all the time and not impact people, or at least consider them in the decisions that we're making.
We have got some comments and questions, Danielle. So we're going to go over to fan of the show, Maria Hansen, MBE from Me and D Charity. Good morning, Yvonne and Danielle. Maria also says she's watching live from the Me and D office in Melbourne, Derbyshire. She's putting together her tick list for today with a cup of tea, enjoying the conversation very much. Really good chat show. Great to meet other business owners. Who else have we got on? Oh, we've got Simon from Jack Photography. Great listening to you guys this morning. It's nice to listen to like-minded business owners, especially with a martial arts hobby. Absolutely. I used to do karate, and I got all the way up to the orange belt. Orange belt. I'm very proud of that orange belt. Yeah. Damn hard. Orange belt. Right. So we talked about what's hard about running a business. Good stuff. Why do you think people start their own businesses? Is it all about the money? Is it all about the freedom? What is this attraction?
Yeah, no, I don't think it is all about. Maybe for some people, obviously everybody's got different motivators, but I think it's about a belief that you could do something in a different way, or what because I don't believe that you have to necessarily start a business to be able to have that freedom or that sense of being able to put your stamp on something. I think if you are with an employer that really embraces that, and you're with the right employer, then I think you can absolutely have that journey without needing to run a business. I really do. But I do think for some people, it's like, I've got this idea, or I've got this way that I believe that it should be done. And if you can't find that right home, and you're not in that right home, then the right and natural thing is to go, I can do this, and I believe I've got this vision, and I can do this in this kind of way, and I believe I can make it work. And that's what I think the main advantage is. It's that being able to create something. But like I said, I don't know that you have to necessarily run your own business to do that. If you're with the right organisation, you can still have that sense of, I'm creating something, I'm putting a stamp on it, and I've got the autonomy to run my area. But I think a lot of people start businesses out of that, almost that frustration or that real desire that I'm not getting heard, nothing's happening, I can't make it happen, and I'm going to go and do it myself because I feel I could do a better job.
Yeah, those people who act as that. I mean, I was guilty of that when I worked for other people. When I've worked up the ranks at employers, I'd go networking and people would say to me, oh, is it your business then? I'm like, no, I can't run my own business. Don't be daft. I don't want to run my own company. But yeah, it was really, really interesting. I think the term is intrapreneur, someone who acts as though it's their business, but it's not actually their business. So the risk isn't there. But with working from home, there is so much more flexibility now. We've got tons more comments and questions coming in, Danielle. I'm just going to go over to a couple of them, if that's all right. We've got someone watching live on Facebook. Unfortunately, I can't see your name, but we'll show your comment. Absolutely agree with Danielle. I'm my own worst critic and worry about everyone being happy all of the time. Definitely can resonate with that. We've got Tess. Got Tess, great questions, Yvonne. Loving the honesty, Danielle. Sending a wave. Hello. So much live in the Blossomfield Gardens today. Oh, fantastic. Oh, it's from George. Oh, hello, George, from Hotstop Priory. I'm glad you could tune in.
Hi, George.
Hello, George. Whose name came up as Tess. So Tess or George, it's absolutely fine. Right, we're going straight back to the questions. Danielle, if you could change one thing about your business or even your industry, what would it be and why?
Yeah, another really good question. We are forever changing things. So that whole continuous improvement thing, I think that, if there's one thing that you could change, like on any given year, we probably have 2 or 3 major projects that were kind of internal projects that we're working through and towards to change things, to make things better, to, move, because there's some technology that now does something that it didn't do last year, or that we need to embrace that, or we need to reduce time, or we need to be stronger at that. So I would, on that, I think to stand still is to go backwards. So you've got to continuously keep learning and growing and improving. And that's what makes business interesting. That's what makes life interesting. So I think without those challenges, you don't grow. So as much as they've kind of given me loads of grey hairs over the last year and keep you awake at night, I think, there's, like I say, there's forever things that, that we are wanting to be better at, and that we're changing and we're improving at any time. And it is things like saving time. It is, how can we use like this? Recently, we've gone on to like a automation tool to just massively try and reduce some of the jobs that chew up people's time, and actually probably only get done to a certain level. Whereas when you automate certain processes, it just means that the job is done more thoroughly, more accurately, and more consistently. Yeah. And it's mainly around things like data and data entry and data input and things like that. So another thing that we're looking at that will be changing soon is our temporary payroll. So we've got, a bank of temporary workers that work for us. It's the process around that. It's the way, I'm a massive believer in when you go onto Amazon or something, it's easy to do anything. You just swipe and then you're bought. And I believe that that's how recruitment should be. If you are somebody that's working for it should be easy just to send your timesheet. It should be easy to get access to things. It should be easy to work with Cherry. And we do have an internal project called Making It Easy to Work with Cherry. So loads of things that we are constantly kind of tweaking and changing and improving. So yeah, without, like I said, if we changed too many big things, there would be not anything to do, would there? And then we'd all be bored and wanting to go do something else. So
you mentioned the likes of Amazon. Other online retailers are available, but I don't know about you, but I love it when I can think, right, how do I apply their processes and the way the bigger businesses do stuff into my own business? Right at the beginning, when I started the business, I looked at what other big print firms were doing, what software were they using, how can I sort of take what they're doing and maybe lo-fi it for a small business. And that, I believe that puts a really good foundation to grow steady over the 10 years. Are you guilty of that? Are you guilty of looking at a service or a proposition from a bigger business and trying to, how can I get that into my business? How can I get that way?
We're not a retailer, so it's not even, but it's still like that experience. It's the customer experience is what I'm madly passionate about, and it's easy. Whether morally you're like, I don't want to go to Amazon, I want to shop locally, which during lockdown, some of our local fruit and veg shop, which we shop at constantly, we're there about 5 times a week, but they went online. The process, we did try it 2 or 3 times, and in the end we're like, it's just easier to go down there and just buy from them, because they are a small business. It didn't kind of translate that well to the online bit for them. Not that they needed to, because they've done really, really well anyway. But it was like, that make it easy for people, make it. And so even though we're not a retailer, it's the same logic to say, just don't have people filling in stuff, spending loads of time, feeling like I need to put in a password and check. The more processes there are as an end user, when you're trying to do something, buy something or get somewhere, send your CV. Yeah. You just lose people's interest on the way. So I massively believe in making
remove those hurdles, don't you, as much as possible to make it such a streamlined.
Exactly.
easy
It's
process.
customer experience for me, and Amazon do just an amazing customer experience. If you ever need to return anything, if you need to buy anything, it's delivered really quickly, and all of those things are what you need in your life, don't you? When you're trying to buy something and it's not arriving, or you can't return it, or something's come and it's broken, and then you can't get through. It's all of those real bugbears that we need to try and mirror those
in our own businesses, and also smaller businesses. Small businesses who have been around for a long time, who maybe perhaps this is the way we've always done it. It's like you don't have to change things, you can improve things. We're flying through the 30 minutes. We've got to 25-minute mark, so I want to crack on with a few more questions. I knew time will absolutely fly by with you, Danielle. Absolutely knew it. So we've talked about the advantages of running your own business and the disadvantages. What overall advice would you give someone watching this who might be thinking of starting their own side hustle or new company to take that leap of faith? What advice would you give them?
Yeah, so my plan, and be prepared and just know what you're going into is my advice. And I think that cash thing that I'd said to you earlier, when we first started, there was various chamber, workshops and things that you could go on to, and one of them was called Managing Money. And it's talk about state the obvious, but it was just one of those state the obvious that just really, really resonated. And I would say that over and over again. It's like, plan, what do I need to pay my mortgage, buy my food, deal with all my essentials, and how much have I got, how long can I go before I literally, I've got this amount of time month on month before I need to really, earn money from this business. That's if you're kind of going all in. If you are able to do a side hustle, obviously that's really different because you've got that security net. But I think the cash side is the most important thing, and one of the main reasons people either go out of business or it's lack of cash or making any profits from what you're doing. So that would matter. And then once you've kind of know that you've got a plan to work to, then I think don't overthink it. If it's in your heart and you've really understand this is the hurdles that I'm in for and this is how long I can survive, then just go and do it. And don't hang around with those people that are going to kind of, they're the cautious people. They're the ones that will be kind of putting all the kind of, what if this happens, that happens, and just don't hang around with them at the time you're trying to make that decision, because you're just going to have these internal breaks forever, making you feel like there's all these risks and there's all these problems and there's all these things that will go wrong. You need to get a peer group, or just surround yourself, or just find one or two people that have just already done it and it looks easy to them. Just go and do it. I've been there. That's how it starts. This is what you're in for. Just crack on and do it. That's what my advice is.
Just do it. Danielle says just do it. But a comment also about planning from Maria Hansen from Me&D Charity. Maria says, I think for people who plan, who need to know what is happening when, it's been disconcerting not to be in control. Control factor as well, isn't it? What is happening, but crucially plan and keep changing that plan. Look, actually, there's a really good point. Plans aren't forever. They can morph into different avenues and forms. So definitely plan, but it's not stood in stone. We've spoken about the online retailer, beginning with A. We do have friends, a local bookshop called Ashby Della Books, a lady called Kate. Any books that we mention on the show, she'll have available on her website. That's very exciting. So talking about books, I don't know about you, Danielle, but I love to learn. My current book, I got this from Ashby Della Books on Saturday. It's Atomic Habits by James Clear. And I know it's going to be a good book because already a few days later, I'm halfway through it. I just can't put this book down. It's absolutely amazing. What books have you got on the go at the minute, Danielle?
Oh, what have I got on the go at the moment? I'm reading one, and I don't know where I got it from or how I came across it, but it is like a just do it kind of book. And I haven't got it on me to show it to you, but I believe that I picked it up from I don't know if somebody's given it to me, but it's basically about a businessman, that the guy that owns Horcross Hall, and he owns, the spa.
Oh, right.
Spa. There's one local to Nottingham, and I've forgotten the name of it, but it's basically his book. It's just about his life and how he got into business, and these are all the things that you're gonna. So it is a business book. I would say one of my favourite books of all time is still Stephen Covey, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, because there's not many days go by where there's not one line or another or one of the concepts that I come into. And then probably about when we still used to have holidays, about a year ago, I read a really good book, which was one of those ones that just kind of kick you into action, which is called The Compound Effect. I don't know if you've read that.
Not read that one.
That's Darren Hardy, but it's literally the compound effect in anything you do. But the bottom line of the whole thing is it doesn't matter how small it is, just do something towards it and it just starts this momentum, and then the momentum gets bigger. So whether that's trying to get fit, trying to start the business, trying to save money, trying to stop whatever, a bad habit, but just start, because the more you sit there thinking about doing it, it gets bigger and bigger and you never get around to it. It's all becomes too much of a big thing to do. So that's a really good book.
My book list, that sounds right up my street. Absolutely. We have got to the 30-minute mark, so we're going to have to wrap up soon, but I want to get this last question in. One thing over the past year, I've spoken to hundreds of small business owners, and there's been some really dark, low moments, and some of them, have felt like quitting. What's the point? There's no help out there. Why should I continue? What advice would you give them? And have you ever been in that situation, Danielle, where you really have thought, I'm just going to throw in the towel. I've had enough of this. Yeah. And how did you get out of that mindset?
I think the throw it in the towel for me personally is like, I've had enough of all of this. It's just when you just feel like, I'm just at the end. I don't know where to go, because it's like it's almost like the last chance saloon when I'm at that point. But it's normally like a mood thing. It's like I don't know what else to do or say. That's what I'm going to say. They're the words that come off of my lips, and they don't come off of my lips very many places. It will be very personal as I walk through my front door or something. But the best thing in that situation is to go to bed and just start again tomorrow, because you always feel better than you did the next day. It's always, so for me, it's like, go and do that. But things like trying to learn to ski, which I was desperate to do. I thought I'd be great at, because I'd spent so many years wanting to do it. When you can't do something, that's where I often feel like I want to quit, because I'm not getting where I want to be straight away. And you just have to kind of realize things take time and you can't be everywhere yesterday, even though you want to be. I'm quite impatient. I want to get somewhere. I want to see results quickly. And I think the other piece of advice I would give on that is just nothing lasts. Everything changes. Everything is just a wave in time. And, where we are today is not where we're going to be this time next year, is it? It will all move on and it will all find its way. So you just have to try and keep telling yourself that when you feel like quitting, because just keep going.
Yeah.
It will change. You'll have new problems, new challenges.
Great advice. So, okay, what is on your bucket list, Danielle? What's in your bucket? What's left to do? What do you want to achieve?
Yeah, it's experiences really, more than anything else. I've got different things, like I've got a house project that I really like, a dream home project that I really want to do, but mainly it's to be able to get back on an aeroplane, to be able to go on some holidays again, and it's all experience that I would really like to do with my boys, one day going on safari, or getting a Winnebago and driving down Route 66, or, I want to do the 3 Peaks Challenge, which has been on my bucket list for forever, fitness things. So, so that they're nothing. I mean, one of my bucket list is to be able to just have time to sit down, have a cup of tea and read a book, or something like that. They're quite simple when you boil down to it, but mainly they're experiences and things that I want to be able to do with my children as they're kind of growing up through different stages of their own life. Business bucket lists are just to, continue down the vein that we've got on, and to create something. Our aim is to be successful and to be happy. We want people at Cherry to, do well, but actually enjoy it. We don't want everybody, having a great time, but nobody's being very successful. And equally, we don't want to have, really successful people that are unhappy, and then you've kind of missed the point of life, because you might be doing well on earnings or on where you're going with your career, but if you're not enjoying it, what's the point? So that's my bucket list for Cherry, just to be with like-minded people, and we're achieving things and we're going places, but we're enjoying the journey at the same time.
That is a brilliant one to end on. Thank you so much, Danielle. If anyone wants to get in touch with you, Danielle, where can they find you?
I'm on LinkedIn. It's probably easy to find me on LinkedIn. Danielle Asano, or just Google Cherry Professional and you will find me. But it's Danielle Asano at cherryprofessional.co.uk if you want to email me too. But all my contact details are on LinkedIn or social. You'll find me somewhere on Google.
Fantastic. Excellent. Well, before we come back to Danielle for a final thought, I just want to let everyone know that fantastic. Thank you so much for all your comments and questions that have come in today so far. If you're watching this on #replay, let us know. Send in your comments and questions still. We'd love to hear from you. If you've enjoyed this show, there are many more available right here on this channel to catch up on. So please let us know. So show us some love, press the like button, press the subscribe button, and we'd love to hear from you. I'm Yvonne from the Tuesday Talk Show. I'm going to go right over to Danielle for her final thought. Danielle.
My final thoughts, is this where you asked me for my quote?
Whatever you like, it's your moment to end the show.
Yeah, so diamonds are made under great pressure. That has been my quote for the year, and it's the one to tell yourself. Each time you're having a hard day, just remember that. Fantastic. And thank you for inviting me as well today. You've taken me completely out of my comfort zone. Not really into doing this sort of thing, but I really appreciate the opportunity. So thank you.
You've been absolutely amazing, and the pleasure is all mine and ours and everyone that's been watching this. So thank you everyone for contributions. Let us know how you've watched it. Let us know what you think, and we'll see you again next week for some more Tuesday Talk Show. See you later. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.